In today's fast-paced world, demands constantly bombard us. From work deadlines to family obligations, social engagements, and the ever-present digital sphere, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Saying yes becomes second nature, a reflex to please others and keep up with the relentless pace. But what happens when we consistently prioritize others' needs over our own? Burnout, stress, and resentment can creep in, leaving us feeling depleted and disconnected from our true selves. The constant juggle can leave us feeling like we're on a never-ending treadmill, running from one obligation to the next without a moment to catch our breath. This documentary will guide you on a journey of setting healthy boundaries and reclaiming your time and energy. Setting boundaries is about creating healthy fences that protect our personal space and well-being. It's about communicating our needs clearly and respectfully. Learning to say no is a skill worth mastering. Recognize that we have the right to decline requests that do not align with our values. Create space for the things that nourish us. Self-care is a necessity. Prioritize activities that bring us joy and replenish our energy. Join us as we explore practical strategies for setting boundaries and self-care. Imagine a world without boundaries, countries without borders, homes without walls, and individuals without a sense of personal space. It would be chaotic, wouldn't it? Just as physical boundaries define our external world, personal boundaries are crucial for establishing a sense of order and safety in our internal world. They act as invisible lines, demarcating what we are and are not willing to accept in our interactions with others. These boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about taking ownership of our own well-being. Think of boundaries as a protective shield, safeguarding our mental, emotional, and physical health. They help us conserve our energy, prevent burnout, and maintain healthy relationships. Without boundaries, we risk becoming overwhelmed, resentful, and depleted. We may find ourselves constantly giving to others without receiving anything in return, leading to feelings of emptiness and dissatisfaction. Let's bring this concept to life with some real-life examples. Imagine a colleague constantly asking you to cover their workload, even though it adds undue stress to your day. A friend frequently calls to vent about their problems, leaving you emotionally drained. Or perhaps a family member makes decisions that directly impact you without seeking your input. These scenarios highlight the importance of setting clear boundaries. In each of these situations, setting boundaries involves communicating your needs assertively and respectfully. It might involve saying no to additional work requests, setting time limits for phone calls, or expressing your desire to be included in decisions that affect you. Remember, setting boundaries is not about being rude or confrontational. It's about prioritizing your own well-being while maintaining healthy relationships. The consequences of not setting boundaries can be far-reaching. When we consistently allow others to overstep our limits, we send a message that our needs are not important. This can lead to feelings of resentment, anger, and frustration. It can also manifest physically in the form of stress-related illnesses, such as headaches, insomnia, or digestive issues. Moreover, the lack of boundaries can create an imbalance in relationships, leading to power struggles and unhealthy dependencies. Imagine a relationship where one person consistently gives while the other consistently takes. Over time, the giver may feel depleted and unappreciated, while the taker may become overly reliant and entitled. This imbalance can erode the foundation of the relationship, leading to conflict and resentment. Setting boundaries is not only essential for our own well-being, but also for fostering respectful relationships with others. When we communicate our boundaries clearly, we give others the opportunity to understand and respect our needs. This fosters a sense of trust and mutual understanding. It also empowers others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of healthy boundary setting in our relationships and communities. Remember, setting boundaries is an ongoing process. It requires self-awareness, practice, and the willingness to communicate our needs assertively. As we navigate the complexities of life, it's important to regularly check in with ourselves and assess whether our boundaries are being honored. If not, it's time to make adjustments and reaffirm our commitment to prioritizing our well-being. Setting boundaries is not a sign of selfishness. It's a sign of self-respect. It's about honoring our own needs and creating a life that is both fulfilling and sustainable. Saying no can feel uncomfortable, especially if we're accustomed to prioritizing others' needs. We might worry about disappointing people, damaging relationships, or appearing selfish. However, it's crucial to reframe no not as a negative response, but as a powerful act of self-care. When we say no to something that doesn't align with our values, goals, or well-being, we are essentially saying yes to ourselves. We are prioritizing our own needs and creating space for the things that truly matter. Think of your time and energy as valuable resources, resources that deserve to be protected and invested wisely. Just as you wouldn't give away your last dollar to anyone who asked, you shouldn't feel obligated to give away your time and energy freely. Saying no allows you to conserve these precious resources and direct them towards activities, relationships, and pursuits that truly nourish your soul. Section 2. Identifying your yes and no zones. To become comfortable saying no, it's helpful to identify your yes and no zones. What are the things that light you up, bring you joy, and align with your values? These are your yes zones, activities, and commitments that you should enthusiastically embrace. On the other hand, what are the things that drain your energy, trigger stress, or make you feel uncomfortable? These are your no zones, areas where you need to establish firm boundaries. It's important to note that there might be a gray area between your yes and no zones, a discernment zone where you need to carefully weigh the pros and cons before making a decision. In these situations, ask yourself, does this opportunity excite me or fill me with dread? Will it move me closer to my goals or pull me further away? Trusting your intuition and prioritizing your well-being will guide you towards the right decision. Section 3. Navigating social pressure and expectations. Social pressure can make saying no feel daunting. We might feel obligated to say yes to avoid disappointing others, fear being judged, or worry about missing out on opportunities. However, it's essential to remember that you are not responsible for other people's feelings or reactions. You have the right to set boundaries that protect your well-being, even if it means declining requests or challenging expectations. One way to navigate social pressure is to have a few go-to phrases that politely but firmly communicate your boundaries. For example, you could say, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'm unable to commit to that right now." Or, "I appreciate the offer, but I need to prioritize some self-care time at the moment." Remember, you don't owe anyone a lengthy explanation or justification for your decision. A simple, direct no is often sufficient. Section 4. Practicing assertive communication. Assertive communication is a crucial skill for setting healthy boundaries. It involves expressing your needs and feelings clearly and respectfully, without being passive or aggressive. When communicating your boundaries, use I statements to emphasize your own perspective and avoid blaming or accusing others. For example, instead of saying, "You're always asking me to do things at the last minute," you could say, "I feel overwhelmed when I'm asked to take on new tasks without sufficient notice." It's also helpful to practice saying no in low-stakes situations to build your confidence. For example, you could decline an invitation to an event you're not interested in attending, politely refuse a telemarketer's offer, or tell a friend you're unable to help them with a task. The more you practice saying no in everyday situations, the easier it will become to assert your boundaries in more challenging circumstances. Imagine your energy as a well of water. Every time you give to others, whether it's through work, relationships, or daily responsibilities, you draw from this well. Over time, if you're constantly giving without replenishing, the well will inevitably run dry. This is where self-care comes in. Self-care is the act of consciously refilling your well, nourishing your mind, body, and spirit, so that you can continue to show up in the world as your best self. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not about being selfish, it's about being self-aware. It's about recognizing that you deserve to prioritize your own well-being, just as much as you prioritize the well-being of others. When you practice self-care, you're not only taking care of yourself, but you're also setting a positive example for those around you. You're demonstrating that it's okay to prioritize your own needs and that self-care is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Self-care encompasses multiple dimensions of our being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. It's about nurturing each of these aspects to create a sense of balance and wholeness. Physical self-care involves taking care of your body through activities like exercise, healthy eating, getting enough sleep, and seeking medical attention when needed. It's about listening to your body's signals and giving it the rest and nourishment it needs to thrive. Emotional self-care involves acknowledging and processing your emotions in a healthy way. It might involve journaling, talking to a therapist, engaging in creative pursuits, or spending time with loved ones who make you feel supported and understood. Mental self-care involves stimulating your mind and challenging yourself intellectually. This could involve reading, learning new skills, engaging in thought-provoking conversations, or pursuing hobbies that spark your curiosity. Spiritual self-care involves connecting with something larger than yourself, whether it's through nature, religion, meditation, or acts of service. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to self-care. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to experiment and create a personalized self-care menu that resonates with your needs, preferences, and lifestyle. Start by brainstorming a list of activities that bring you joy, reduce stress, and make you feel energized. These could be simple pleasures like taking a warm bath, listening to your favorite music, spending time in nature, or enjoying a cup of tea in silence. Once you have a list of potential self-care activities, schedule them into your week as non-negotiable appointments. Just as you would prioritize a work meeting or a doctor's appointment, prioritize your self-care time. Treat it as sacred and guard it fiercely. Remember, self-care is not about adding more to your to-do list. It's about making conscious choices that nourish your well-being. The benefits of self-care extend far beyond our own personal well-being. When we prioritize our own needs, we show up differently in the world. We're more patient, more compassionate, more present, and more capable of giving to others from a place of fullness rather than depletion. Self-care creates a ripple effect, positively impacting our relationships, our work, and our communities. When we're feeling depleted and stressed, it's easy to become irritable, reactive, and withdrawn. However, when we're feeling grounded, centered, and energized, we're better equipped to handle challenges with grace, navigate conflicts with empathy, and offer support to those around us. Self-care is an investment not only in ourselves, but also in the world we want to create. A world where well-being is valued, boundaries are respected, and individuals feel empowered to prioritize their own needs without guilt or apology. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to lose sight of our own needs and boundaries. We get caught up in meeting deadlines, responding to emails, and tending to the needs of others. Before we know it, the day is over, and we're left feeling depleted and disconnected from ourselves. That's why it's crucial to incorporate daily reflection into our routine, a dedicated time to pause, breathe, and check in with ourselves. Think of daily reflection as a mini audit of your well-being. Ask yourself, how did I feel throughout the day? Were there any moments when I felt stressed, overwhelmed, or resentful? Did I say yes to something I should have said no to? Were my boundaries respected? By taking a few minutes each day to reflect on these questions, you gain valuable insights into your emotional patterns, identify potential boundary issues, and make adjustments as needed. Imagine embarking on a journey without a destination in mind. You might wander aimlessly, wasting time and energy without making any real progress. The same principle applies to our daily lives. Without clear intentions, we're more likely to get sidetracked by distractions, succumb to other people's agendas, and end the day feeling unfulfilled. Setting clear intentions is like charting a course for your day, providing a roadmap to guide your decisions and actions. At the start of each week or each day, take a few moments to reflect on your priorities. What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to feel? What boundaries do you need to set to protect your time and energy? Write down your intentions in a journal, on a whiteboard, or on sticky notes that you can place in strategic locations, your bathroom mirror, your computer screen, or your refrigerator. By keeping your intentions top of mind, you're more likely to make choices that align with your values and goals. Section 3. The power of no. Creating your no list. Saying no can be challenging, especially if you're someone who naturally gravitates towards pleasing others. We might worry about disappointing people or missing out on opportunities. However, saying no often means saying yes to something that aligns with your values and well-being. Create a no list, a reminder of what you're no longer willing to tolerate. Identify these no zones to respond assertively to requests. Your no list can evolve as your priorities change. Is scheduling me time, a non-negotiable appointment. In today's fast-paced world, self-care often falls by the wayside. We prioritize work, family, and social commitments, but we shouldn't cancel on ourselves. Scheduling me time is an investment in our well-being. Treat your me time as a non-negotiable appointment. Choose activities that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Section 1. The transformative power of no. As we conclude this exploration of setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care, it's important to acknowledge the transformative power of saying no. It's not just a word, it's a declaration of self-respect, a commitment to our well-being, and a catalyst for creating a more balanced and fulfilling life. When we learn to say no to the things that drain us, we create space for the things that nourish us. We give ourselves permission to prioritize our own needs, pursue our passions, and cultivate relationships that are mutually supportive and enriching. Saying no is not always easy, especially if we're accustomed to people-pleasing or fear disappointing others. However, it's essential to remember that setting boundaries is not about being selfish. It's about being self-aware. It's about recognizing our limits, honoring our values, and communicating our needs clearly and respectfully. When we set healthy boundaries, we're not pushing people away. We're creating a space where healthy relationships can flourish. Embracing a life of balance and authenticity. Setting boundaries and prioritizing self-care is an ongoing process. We may fall back into old patterns or neglect our needs. Approach yourself with compassion and keep practicing. Each time we assert boundaries, we strengthen self-respect. Remember, you are worthy of setting boundaries. You are worthy of prioritizing your well-being. Embrace self-care to create a ripple effect of positivity.